I really late, but it's not my fault. And when we nearly reached Panty Terminus, I feel the bus come to a halt. We lick around good down by the roundabout. It was a hitch, but it's not surprise. Our brother run through the bus and start to shout, you should have did make we buy a pound of rice. Ram good, liver good fi make manage water. Billy good teeth make the earring for your daughter. Curry good lunch put the bite to your bar. It make your daughter na 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 na. It make your daughter walk and talk. Mm-mm. Well, I pop to bilge and I make a sigh. I take a walk, go out the street. And while I'm waiting on the road, fake on my life, I feel a gripe and I start to feel very weak. Before too long, you know, have to ask. I run in belly like a judgment day. Good morning, car. And everybody in the road are dead with laugh. He said, you know that crime will never pay. Ram good, liver good for make manish water. Billy good teeth make the earring for your daughter. I feel like celebrating this morning because, dear God up in heaven, we've had nothing but bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news. And it's just been horrible. On Instagram today, I am broadcasting live from my regular page because my business page wouldn't give me access to broadcast live. Not really sure what that's happening there, but it's been iffy. So, I just want to make sure that I'm on no matter what is going on. Good morning. Good morning to each and every one of you. Viola, Laura, Shaquilla, Nakia, good morning. Happy Juneteenth, y'all. Good morning, Marguerite. Good morning, Bobby Carr. I see all of you. Now, today is the Love Is segment, and we have the second segment up with Nay Andrews. Chloe Isabel, how is life, my darling, in London, England? Are you still enjoying yourself? So we have Nate Andrews back on again today from last week, Thursday. She is the guest that talked about being a preacher's kid, what she's had to navigate, that when she was 15, her father began molesting her. Her mother took her father's side because they wanted to continue to have, have a public facing where all is well. And after I got off the air with her last week, I said, tell me where your father preaches, where he's still preaching. She told me. I went online, looked, and oh my God. Oh my God. So we'll discuss that today. We'll absolutely discuss it today. But with Juneteenth being upon us, and we're seeing these. I have the Statue of Liberty hanging up with chains hanging off her arm, and it says "Freeish." Freeish since 1865. What are you planning to do with your day today? I was supposed to work with a client, and I said to them, "Yo, it is a good morning, Ken July, darling." It is the day where we at least can take a deep breather and say, all is well. All is well. Despite what it looks like right now, I need you all to just take a deep collective breath and at least for a few hours embrace the day. Absolutely embrace the day. It's just there's so much going on at one time. So I started off with Ram Good Liver by Pluto Shervington, which is like a Jamaican folklore song, and we would sing it. And really the song is about finding your food where you can eat it. They're on the bus, they slap a goat, the goat didn't die, they slaughter the goat and they cook the goat by the side of the road. But of course, when you're cooking by the side of the road, you may not have access to all the things that you need to wash your hands, etc. And so after he ate the goat and boiled 2 dumplings and did all that he had to do and walk out to the street to figure out what he was going to do for the rest of the evening, waiting for the road to come alive, his stomach started hurting. And so he had diarrhea, right? And so he's like, crime will never pay, because the goat probably belonged to someone. So that was the impetus for my doing what I did this morning. I am off today. Marva is off today. So I don't know what Juneteenth activities are happening. Please let me know so that I can come and express my blackness, because I'm not one of those people who pretend that I am not black in order to get along with everybody else. Black, blackity, black, 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 and black some more, right? And even though we are, as Black people, gifted and professional in all the things that we say and do, we also deserve to have spaces of joy. We deserve to have spaces where we can express joy in the way we think, in the way we feel. I want to dance today. I want to go talk to people. And it's also going to be incredibly hot today. I believe it's going into the 90s. So I may be in shorts, y'all, because I can't take this heat. And and if there's some place where I can drop, as we would say in Jamaica, drop 2 foot of dirty. I'd love to be able to do that too. Yes, yes, yes. Anybody knows where there is hi, happy Erica, happy Juneteenth and good morning to you. Anyone knows where there are Juneteenth celebrations happening today? Weather permitting, she says, I'm heading to the African American Museum. Also, they're having the Black Party again. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, Ma Laura, say less, girl, say less. Call Marvel when I get off the air. Anybody wants to go have a far experience with me today? I think I can only take, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 or 6 people with me, and I will tell you where to meet me. But honey, this far is amazing, right? Oh yeah, and I'm only doing the show today, Marguerite, because Nay is coming back on. I didn't want to break up the dialogue that we were having from last week to this week. After that, good morning, Shamika. Good morning. Good morning. So I'm, just let me know. After that, I'm like wide open. I'm going to drop off Bernie to get some stuff done. And then for regular maintenance, I'll get a loaner car and y'all tell me where you want to go, okay? Today belongs to all of you, the listeners. You want to hang out with Marva? Come on, let's go, right? And so I'm excited about that. We talk about so many things that have not been good over the last several months. And I'm actually shocked that Juneteenth, it continues to be a federal holiday. I thought that we were going to lose Juneteenth the way we're losing all the other holidays that impacts us, right? So speaking of that, let me do this quickly. Cherie Syfax will be on with us because she was like, are we working today because it's Juneteenth? I was like, yeah, girl, we're just going to do Juneteenth. And then we're just going to go enjoy the rest of the day. 1 hour on, 23 hours off. I'm looking forward to it. It says here, a bronze bust of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has been quietly removed out of the Oval Office. According to the USA Today, the MLK bust was moved to Trump's private dining room as part of various changes the president made to the Oval Office. A White House official confirmed the dining room, steps away from the Oval Office, is where Trump holds private meetings and lunches with senior staff. More changes to the Oval Office under Trump includes gold ornaments around the door frames, gold figurines on the fireplace mantle, and a framed copy of the Declaration of Independence behind blue velvet curtains. The MLK bust was first installed in the Oval Office in 2009 by former President Barack Obama. The bust held its prominent place in the Oval Office during Trump's first presidential term. The White House hasn't provided an explanation for the move to relocate the civil rights leader's bust. And he did return a bust of Winston Churchill, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, to the Oval Office on January 20th, the first day of his second term as president. The members of this was written by, because I want to always give credit to who wrote it, Black Information News Network wrote that. Okay. Members of the Philadelphia School District's largest union have voted to give the executive board of the power to call a strike if and when they think it is warranted. The Philadelphia Federation of Teachers represents 14,000 teachers, school nurses, counselors, and other workers. A total of 94% of them voted in favor of a strike authorization. What this means is that the majority of PFT's membership wanted to give negotiators more leverage when bargaining their contract, which expires on August 31st. This does not mean that PFT members are currently on strike. The president said in a statement that they have made progress towards an agreement, but said the district has been slower to meet halfway on their key demands. So pay attention to that. Good morning, Councilmember Phillips. I see you from District 9. Good to see all of you here. Happy Juneteenth, y'all. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know about any Juneteenth celebrations that you're having today. I want to be a part of some of it. I took the day off. I canceled every client. The only thing I'm not canceling is my car getting service. But other than that, I just want to hang out and spend some time with all of you. I was literally trying to get Mr. Sanders to spend some time with me, but he has to work on this here Juneteenth Emancipation Proclamation. He is not emancipated, proclamated. I'm telling you, he's out here working his tail feathers off. Alexandra says, also, don't forget about the Juneteenth parade on Sunday and celebration at Malcolm X Park. I did not hear about that, but I have to look at my schedule and see. Even my weekends are not free. So I have to be careful. Anybody wants to hang out with Mother for a little bit of soup in a great place, far, we're talking far here. We're talking far. If you want to hang out with some far, you're going to have to meet me there, because we'll talk about that. But you have, if you have access to me, to not inbox me, text me. You have to know me, because in the way life is set up right now, I can't just be out here with regular old strangers. I have to know you for us to kind of hang out. And I think this place can comfortably take about 8 or 10 people, but the far is amazing. Chloe Isabel Francis, I need you to come back to these United States of America, because we have a date with Destiny next week, Thursday, I believe. So I'm grateful for that. It's 6:41. So how is it that we haven't heard about? Is it that it's not in my algorithm? Because I have not heard much about any Juneteenth celebrations in the last few days. It could be my algorithm. Does anybody know? And I'm asking all of you. I see Alexandra talking about the Juneteenth parade on Sunday at Malcolm X Park, but I haven't really heard anything else. And I believe the African American Museum is having their usual block party. It's hot out there though. They're on asphalt, and so I feel like I'm going to faint when I'm out there. So I'm trying to do something that's a little less detrimental to my health and well-being. Tamara, good morning, Tiffany. Date with Destiny is Tuesday. Oh, well, okay. You already know, Marguerite. Whatever day it is, I'm going to be there. I am going to be there. Laura, listen, my Faraday bags stay in my car, so yes. Joanne says only 2 more people of color bus left to go in the Oval Office, Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. Cheltenham High has something. What do they have today? Let me know, please. And is it open to the public? That's the other part. All right. So while I wait for Nay and Cherie to show up, let me do a little bit more news. Good morning, Kent. Good morning, darling. Good morning. Yeah, someone just said hi. Someone over here says Cheltenham High School, and then Tiffany just said it. All right. Somebody let me know exactly what that is. Oh, it's open to the public. What time do you teach for life? Let Mova know, and we'll figure it out, right? Every day that I am out in the streets trying to figure out and navigate what is happening around us, I see more and more that our mental health is being impacted because we're trying so hard to figure out what do we do next. And people are struggling and not sure why they're struggling. They get up every morning, they do the same things every day. But for some reason, in the last few weeks and months, the days feel like they're more of a struggle to them. I am going to gently ask all of you, as you are traversing the streets and moving about, that if you see people, just regular folks on the streets, say good morning, say good afternoon, say hello. I was walking into a meeting yesterday, and I smelled some good food, and there were some people eating some food in their lunchroom in a space, and opened the door, and I said, "What are y'all eating up in here? It smells so good." And I just began having conversations with them. People need just regular offshoot dialogue that has nothing to do with life, nothing to do with work, nothing to do with their struggles. I get this. It's this distinct feeling that people want to feel a sense of normalcy that is far reaching now, even as they go through their daily lives. So I want you all to take a little bit of time, a little bit of extra time, and say hello. A little bit of time. Alexandra, last year I was the one of the mistress of ceremonies for the African American Museum for their block party. The line for the museum was incredible, and I could have walked in because I had the top level pass to do what I wanted to do. I got to introduce Kid and Play. Hola, hola, eh. It was such a great time, and I was out on that stage. And let me tell you, when the day ended, I was sunburned from here to here. It was insane. Even though I drank a ton of water, even though I had all the food that I could eat. So if you're going out there, please carry your fan. Where them fans at? Carry your fan, carry a little cooler that you can pull underground, and make sure you have all the juices, all the water more than anything else. There are going to be food trucks out there too. So there's always that happening. 11 to 5, Teach for Life. Okay, thank you. There, all of that. But make sure you look out for your brother and sister. And if you're going to be dragging the cooler, then make sure you don't just carry water for yourself. Make sure you put enough water in there for somebody who may need a water but don't have access and can't afford to buy water, right? We always have to think that way. Oh, I got my boots on the ground. Where them fans at? It's Juneteenth, honey.
It is Juneteenth, Freedom Day.
Fresh since 1865. Fresh.
Yes.
Before we get into the loving segment, because I have to wait for Nate to join us, your husband has me rolling. What happened with Ross Baraka? Because he's like, I'm going back to minding my entrepreneurial business. I thought that man was going to make it to November.
Well, no one expected him to be second. No one, because Mikey Sherrill had the Democratic Party, in New Jersey behind her completely. So that means boots on the ground, that's money and all that. And he didn't really have anything. He had his base in Newark, but he just built this really huge coalition. I think, just Tracy, it's always a concern of people not coming out to vote. So I want to say 3 million registered voters. Don't quote me on this. 700,000 or 800,000 voted.
Right.
So, so that is problematic, and that continues to be a problem. I mean, and as we're looking at the state that we're currently in, even in the country, and we think about 10 million people who just did not vote, who just chose not to vote. So I think it's just always that disappointment that no matter kind of how much people galvanize and rally of late, people just want to stay disengaged. And if you can't see the impact of being disengaged, if we can't see that right now, I don't know what's going to change that for us. But we are literally sinking into a democratic and constitutional crisis, in my opinion. So, yeah. So
it's not just your opinion, my sister. A lot of us feel that way. And we're watching folks going, where's Barack Obama? Where the hell was Barack Obama?
Girl, last night, I want to cuss at the TV. Like, why is it Barack Obama's responsibility for, everything? Barack Obama, served 2 amazing terms and has campaigned and campaigned and campaigned. And the folks want to be mad at him one moment if he doesn't say the right thing or the thing that they think he should say. And then they want to, call him elitist and all this other stuff. And it's just like, Barack has done his time and he has done his duty as far as to the Democratic Party. And why are we never, it's a Republican in the office now. So why isn't George Bush at the front of the conversation? That's his, he's the OG of that party. So,
why is it that they think it's okay? And since we're on Juneteenth and having the discussion, because we're going all the way there in these Waconda streets, why do they think it is okay for us to always have to show up and fix things when it is not our responsibility? And why is it okay for us to give us the quote unquote shitstorm when it hits to fix the stuff, and after we fix it, then they come back in and destroy it again? Like, is it me?
Yeah, no, it's not you, but it's because this country is built on that. They took the strongest, the smartest, those that survived. So we have been fixing and building this country consciously and subconsciously since its origin. That's why. So they always know that we are the ones that have to fix it because we technically have built it.
You know what I think frightens many now is that we used to get on social media and talk about, we'll do what we need to do. There was always an expectation that we would step in and make sure everything is okay when stuff goes blown to hell, right? This time, not only are we not stepping in, we're planning behind closed doors. Like, we're not having that dialogue. We are making sure that we're taking care of each other, our own. And so resistance is coming in the form of not going in the streets, but spending our money differently, right? Mm-hmm. Making sure that we have food to eat when whatever this is upon us, and it's coming. You see it like a railroad train just coming towards us. I'm looking, Cherie, and I see, we talk about energy. Energy matters. West Virginia can't catch a break. The water, their bridges are blowing away. The water, the rain, the landslides. You look in Nebraska, you see these huge tornadoes forming. A tornado formed in Alaska for the first time in God knows how many years. We're seeing all these things coming our way. The country is in a weird place metaphysically, but we keep saying not much ado about nothing here, and people are screaming and asking for help, and they're told, no, we cut that out. We don't have any money for FEMA anymore. And so we talk about the fact that voting matters, and I'm talking about this now for the love of people. We talk about the fact that voting matters, but does our vote really count? Hear what I'm saying to you. Just listen. In Rockville, New York, 5 out of 6 districts where they counted the votes in the presidential election, Kamala Harris got 0 votes.
So I know they're investigating that.
And it's not the only place that it has happened.
Agreed. Yeah, there's finding more counties that are Democratic counties where the other down ballot Democratic folks got votes, and she got 0.
Right. And we keep saying that people are not voting. Could it be that people are not voting and their votes are not counting? People are voting and their votes are not counting?
I don't think I don't think that has been a historic thing. I do believe that, for what it's worth, I mean, obviously Elon Musk was very involved in this particular election. And I think that if there was an opportunity for votes to be tampered with this election, I think that if someone had the ability to do it, I think he did, because there was so much focus on his participation, the amount of money that he put into it. So I don't think historically that has been the case. But if those claims are, it's not like I'm looking at the voter data, but if those claims are true, then I would think that he had the ability to do something with the vote, to tamper with the votes for sure. I just think the sheer amount of money that he put into it.
I'm gonna leave that alone because it's Juneteenth. I want to feel free-ish. Let's talk a little bit about Father's Day.
I mean, because really, even my girlfriends, as we get together, and my girlfriends are not like a political group of women. They are definitely resisting in the way in which they're trying to navigate and spend money and how we do certain things, even our book club. But even they're starting to talk about, stockpiling and reserves and just different things. I mean, so that conversation is getting broad about like, how do we preserve ourselves and how do we protect and make sure we're okay? So, I'm excited.
We're just not having it publicly, which is a beautiful thing. And I'm also grateful, particularly to the white women who are like, listen, we apologize because we see it now. We're in the middle of it. We're being dragged. We're being arrested. We're going through all of this. We finally see it, right? And so grateful for that. And we're still going to sit down. Listen, DTs, I done told y'all already what we need to do. And so no matter how much money you have or don't have, we now have to look out for our neighbors. You have to make sure that the people around us know who your neighbors are, first of all. Right. And then, I have potatoes. You may have onions. Can we swap, because these are the things.
My message I left you, Tracy has scheduled the guy to come and toil or whatever. So he's like, he doesn't want to do it.
When is he coming?
He just said, you give me a date and he'll make sure the guy's here.
Tell him have the man toil the thing. All we need is toil. Just toil it and we're going to be all right. And then after that,
he didn't want it to turn muddy if it rained a lot.
Tell him don't worry about that. Because it will. What will happen is we're going to add soil. Tell him to add soil on top of what he's toiled, right? Okay. And then if it rains, when it rains, because it will rain, it's going to be very dry for the next few weeks. So if it rains, we'll be fine. It'll drain out after a while. No worries. And then we'll start to plant the things that we know will give you a crop and a harvest sooner rather than later. Okay. All right, honey. You left.
But anyway, Father's it was amazing at Booker's, at least.
Yeah, what happened? What happened at Booker's?
We just were busy, and I just love to see all the fathers being celebrated. I just, I was telling you not last week, maybe the week before, with the whole straw thing, and someone talking about if she was married and the conversation around being married, and and just to me, the devaluing of men, and to me, especially Black men.
Mm-hmm.
I just love our community, and how busy we were and how many people brought their fathers in to be celebrated
Yeah.
all weekend long. So
Have you been taking the pictures like I suggested of the families that come in, ask for their permission, and put it up on Booker's wall? Because I think
I
people believe we
haven't done that
don't
as
do
much.
this.
I haven't done it as much as I
Yeah,
should. Yeah.
yeah. Because it is beautiful to see how we negate what is being shown in social media about how we don't get along and how we don't do this and how we don't do that. I and on season 3, episode 2 of my podcast this week. Let me see. On yeah. Oh wait. Okay, no worries. No worries. Naya is joining us. All right. Okay. So, and the man was talking about the fact that fathers are just not given the same kind of love, the same kind of respect. Like there's an expectation of them without giving them, making sure that they feel valued in the middle of all of this. And I find it interesting that we talk a lot about marriage with Black people when there's so many single white folk that are out here with their children, but the emphasis is always on us.
Yeah.
You know what I
Agree.
mean? And so I don't want us to get caught up in the language that we don't love each other, that we're not a part of our families. We're not, that Black fathers don't care about what happens to their children. Because when we do the research, Black fathers emerge as the top group that takes care of their children. How come we
Right.
don't?
If you, depending on what kind of socioeconomic demographics you do research and data on, because a lot of research and data that is out there around fathers that are absent has a lot to do with socioeconomics, and it's very similar in white families in that same socioeconomic. So if you are poor and Black, poor and white, it matters not. The
Right.
absentee is in both spaces because
And
it
we
has more
also,
socioeconomics
yeah,
than
yeah. And we
race.
also have to talk about fathers who are not, once the relationships end, how children are weaponized in with the ending of the you can't see your child. The father's got a date to come. The mother's not there with the babies, and I get the anger and I get all of it. But as I watched my grandchildren celebrating their 3rd birthday last weekend, my husband is sitting to the left of me, my ex-husband and his wife is sitting to the right of me, and we're all pulling together to make sure these babies have a good time. And every time folks see it, they're like, wait. And I'm like, what do you mean wait? We've been separated for so long. You know what I mean? Why
Mhm.
can't we work together on behalf of the children? Why can't we have that conversation? One of our sons' refrigerator broke, and I was like, well, it's $1,000. We can figure the refrigerator's $3,000, child. When did refrigerators get so expensive?
Oh yeah, they are.
So you have
We
to
just built the
continue.
house. That's expensive.
Yeah, you have to continue to work together as families, even when things fall apart, even when the relationships don't work. Well, here's Nay. Good
Good morning.
morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi,
How are you all?
sweetie
It's so good to see you guys.
pie. Thank you. I want to say thank you again for, if you want to see Nay Andrews, I'm going to say your name properly, right, Nay?
Nye.
Why do I keep calling your name not?
It's
Nye
okay. I get
Andrews.
it all the time.
Jesus. Nye Andrews. We began a conversation last week. If you want to see her, get off Facebook and Instagram and come on over to YouTube, A.LawfulTruth Enterprises. You'll see Sharice's pretty face too, because every Thursday we're on here. Thank you for joining us last week, and thank you for coming again to have conversations with us this week.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
I don't know what Sharice's thoughts are, but your story so impacted so many of my people.
Wow.
Girl,
Wow.
one lady called me right after the show ended in tears, and she was like, listen, I have a friend going through da 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 right now. Can you
Mm,
please? And I was like, oh my God. And all morning long, I was concentrated on what we talked about because that's all people wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
So I need you to know that your transparency and your courage has
Mhm.
helped untold numbers of people. And to just thank you. Thank you so much
wow.
for it.
Wow.
Sharice, is there anything you want to add before I launch into asking her my questions?
No, I agree. I just think that so many families have been impacted by things in the church, and and the church is a safe space for a lot of people, but it
Yes.
has also been a place of harm for a lot of people.
Yes.
And I think we tend to confuse and conflate our love and reverence for God
God.
with our
Yes.
experiences that we have in the
Mhm.
church. And so
Yes.
a lot of times there ends up being shame or fear that because we want to speak out or share this negative experience that we've had with the church, that in some way we're rebuking God.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
That those don't necessarily have to be in parallel with each other. We can
Right.
share the what happened in the church, because that is a man run thing,
Hmm.
and still understand and know that we are protected by God. So I love that conversation allowed for people to reconcile a lot of that,
Yes.
because
Oh, yes.
it's for some people it's a struggle.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Anton and Niall, come on over to A.LawfulTruth Enterprises on YouTube. You'll get to see us all doing what we do here. So Nye,
Yes, ma'am.
when you got off the air with us last week, what were the emotions that you were feeling? Did you feel lighter? Did you feel, oh my God, I can't believe I just said all of this hopefully for everybody to hear, your book, Diary of a Preacher's Kid,
Uh-huh.
that book. And you're quite a writer, I have to tell you.
Thank
You
Mm.
you.
pull people in from the very
Thank
beginning.
you.
What did you walk away from the first week from last week? What were your thoughts about what you had discussed with us from last week?
Honestly, a lot of people ask me that. Um, I walked away feeling like this is what destiny feels like.
Mm.
I think a lot of times in life we just go through, we get on just to get on, but
Mhm,
we all are assigned to do something
mhm,
impactful. And our impact may not always be this, right? Everyone may not have the opportunity to write a book or to podcast or to, own a restaurant, whatever it is. But
mhm,
I do believe that every single one of us on the face of this earth, we are assigned to destiny, right? And so when I got off last week, I ran in the room to my wife and I was like, babe, this is what destiny feels like. I finally feel like I am in alignment with my destiny, with my assignment, with my calling, with my ministry. Because
mhm.
a lot of times when it comes to God in church, we think ministry just means standing behind the pulpit or,
Right.
standing behind the sacred desk. I may never get that opportunity. I've had it, in past experiences. I don't think my goal or mission in life is to necessarily be a pastor, but I
Mhm,
do know that this is my ministry, writing the book, being on the podcast, having phenomenal opportunities such as
mhm,
this to
mhm,
share my story, because there are people who are broken, who are living behind faux shame. And when I say faux shame, it's shame that does not belong to them. It's shame that was
Mm.
placed on them
mhm,
due to, the systems of religion, other
mhm,
people, church, whatever. And so to have the opportunity to bring not just transparency, but visibility to the thoughts and the experiences of the broken, that's ministry and an assignment all by
it
itself. So
is.
when this was over last week, I was like, this is what destiny feels like. This is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I oftentimes people blame the church for why they're not in church. But
Hmm.
we are now Facebook friends, and I have to tell you, you love God.
Love him.
You
Mm.
you
Love
don't
him.
you don't play about God when
I
you could
don't.
have easily used the church and the ministry to say, I'm done. This is
Hmm.
not what God is about. I actually went on your father's church, watched some of
Hmm.
that, and I was like, I could see from watching him slump down in his chair that he feels the weight of his transgressions, and he's waiting just for the moment for somebody to say he did XYZ. Because I'm like, he doesn't carry himself like a pastor who is sure of the ministry of God. It's just like
Hmm.
he's just kind of sitting there waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's what my spirit told me as I
Hmm.
watched him. And I saw your mother, you call her your egg donor, I forget what
Womb
you call
carrier.
her.
Womb carrier.
Womb
Womb
carrier and
carrier.
Your
sperm
womb
donor.
carrier, right? Doing her thing, trying to live, but it is not a large ministry. It's not growing. So, I say that to say, even though we think he has gotten away with what he has done, and to what you've said last week was that he not only sexually touched you, he had been doing it long before you were born. To
Yes.
your aunt, your grandmother was trying to get custody of you because she knew what was going on. Correct me when I'm
Yes.
wrong. That he had done it to countless people in and out of the church, and that
Yes.
because he is touched not my anointing, do my prophet no harm. No one has said anything.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but I looked at him and I said, "Oh yeah, he's feeling this. He's not getting away with this. You can see the burden on him, and the fact that he still pastors a church that is just a small ministry. It's like a fiefdom. I'm telling you, I went digging. I
Yeah,
absolutely
I
went digging.
know. I know you did.
Yeah, I did. I just, I was, folks got to figure this out for themselves. So I just wanted to say that. Now, this week we're going to talk a little bit about why is it that when people are in a space where they love same sex, like same sex relationships, that they end up marrying the opposite sex to make people feel happy. Remember us talking about that?
Yes, ma'am.
And it happens quite a bit. I asked doctor that was on recently about it, and he said to me, it's the church, people making them feel guilty, it's society, folks making them feel guilty, and it's their families who want to believe that despite what they see in front of their faces, that you can't be gay, you can't be fluid, you can't be all those things. Can you
Mhm.
discuss it a little bit for us, please, if from your lens, what you've heard people say?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of times, I think, well, it's not a thought. The Bible is used to weaponize love and to keep people away from experiencing true love. So I've been on a road and on this journey of deconstruction now, probably for the past 5 years. My wife and I got married in 2019. I moved to North Carolina September of 2018. We got engaged October of 18, and we were married January of 19. Before we got married, it was probably about 2 weeks before we got married. She was laying in the bed asleep, and I was in bed wide awake because I'm like, God, this is the love of my life. I've never experienced this type of love before, but I don't want to disappoint you. And I don't want to lift up my eyes in hell. And so I prayed and I asked God, I said, if this is going to separate me from you, and if this is going to separate her from you, then remove me. I didn't ask God to kill me. I didn't want to die, but I loved her so much that I was willing to let her go if this was not God's plan for her life. And I waited. I waited for the other shoe to drop, so to speak. I waited for her to say, hey, I can't do this, because my wife, she's not a preacher's kid, but she grew up in the church very, very much, just as much as I did, right? And so we've all been taught about different facets of the Bible. We've all been taught about the scripture in Leviticus that says, man shall not lie with man. We've all been taught about what Paul said in Romans about it, sexual immorality and fleeing and all this other stuff, right? And so the interpretation of those texts, and I think we spoke about this last week, it keeps a lot of people bound, which is why they do exactly what you asked me. Why do um, same gender loving men carry on and marry women knowing that that's not they want? And men get a lot of flack for this, but a lot of women do it as well. I know quite a few personally who do it as well. And it takes me back to what I said before about that faux shame. So on my journey and on this road to and of deconstruction, I'm learning that a lot of what is biblical is not godly, right? Genocide was biblical. That wasn't godly, right? White supremacists now, we're seeing it in our country. We're seeing it with our administration, right? They use the Bible, they use biblical principles to keep people bound. But just because it's biblical doesn't mean it's godly. The Bible says if your right eye offends you, pluck it out. And you got people running around here with an eye patch because they're taking the Bible quite literally. And so, because of that, that's why I spoke last week about the difference between biblical literalism and biblical literacy, right? Because just because it's written does not mean that it's the way it's meant to be literally. That's why we're doing ourselves a disservice if we do not look at the Bible from a historical context, from a social context, from a social economical context. It is so important to bring all of those things together and to bridge those gaps. That way, we don't have the question you just asked me. There are so many people who are so afraid to live in their truth. Because they're afraid to disappoint God. Because if it's in his word, he means what he says. And old school church says, he's the same today, yesterday, and forevermore. I believe that the character of God is the same. I do believe that the mind of God has changed. We see in the Old Testament, God went 400 years without talking to people. I don't got nothing to say to you.
Mm-hmm.
How would that work today?
Right, right.
It wouldn't. And so I believe that so many people are forced into these decisions because they are carrying a shame that people and that the interpretation of the Bible is forcing them to shame, or shame that those entities are forcing them to carry, but that's not coming from God. So I think that's why we see a lot of it, really, because the interpretation and the translation of what is in the word, it's not being properly taught. It's
And
not.
and not only, and correct me if I'm incorrect here, but not only the translation of the Bible, but the
Mm-hmm.
translation of the different kinds of religions. There are religions
Mm-hmm.
right here where in Philadelphia where you can't, women are not allowed in the pulpit still. That in order for you to come into the church, your skirt has to go all the way down to your ankles. There are some religions where you're not allowed to wear any kind of makeup, no
Mm-hmm.
earrings, no anything. So we have phew, we've just gotten to this the alliterations of religion across the globe has left us in places where we sometimes feel like we cannot do anything to question what may not seem or feel right to us.
Right.
And it is why I sit, I listen y'all, like nice says, when you love God and you're in a spiritual place, it doesn't matter that you're sitting in a pulpit or a church or wherever you are.
Mm-hmm.
You literally can sit in your house and feel the presence of God just talking to God, right?
Oh,
This
oh
is what's
yes.
going on. This is what I need to do. Guide me, God. Guide me, Lord, because I said the same thing before I married my husband. If this man ain't for me, let that joker find the door. I did.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was waiting. Year
Mm-hmm.
one, year two, he got better and better. But that's what I'm telling you. What you waiting for? Go ahead, Sheree.
Right.
Well, when you talk about that literalism versus literacy, and
Mm-hmm.
depending on the objective of the person sharing the word, they can share it in a way that's oppressive to its listeners, so
Mm-hmm.
that then again there's a control. And so I think that is something that can be is pervasive and prevalent um, in so many religious spaces. And that's
Absolutely.
where all that shame and the faux shame that you talk about comes from. Fear, you keep people in fear, silence, all those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I've learned in my experiences, I've been in a black church my whole life, my
Mhm.
entire life. I've been a part of. I don't want to lie, so let me make sure I'm telling you the truth. Four ministries. I'm 33. I've been a part of four ministries. My first was my home church. I was there for 27 years. Then I joined another ministry here in Henderson, North Carolina. I was there for about a year and a half, 2 years. Then my former church, I was a part of for about 4 years, but then they kicked us out, and now I'm in a part of another ministry, right? And what I have witnessed in two out of four of those ministries is what you just said about the element of control, right? But what I'm learning is there are a lot of pastors, who have no training. I'm not interested in, oh, I have a doctorate. If it does not come, if it has not come from an accredited university, I don't want to hear what you have to say. And that may be wrong. That may be wrong
Mhm.
of me, and I'm willing to wear that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you have people out here who really do the work, who have graduated high school and have received their bachelor's and then their master's and then their doctorate, right? So
Mhm.
just because you go to some fly by night school in West Zimbabwe somewhere, and now you think you've done something, that that does nothing for me, right? And
But but
so
but
be
but but, but let me add this to you. You can
yeah.
also go to all those schools and still don't have the love of God in your heart
You can.
and
Hello.
destroy a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So what I
Mhm.
have seen over the years is what Ms. Cherie said about that control. It
Yes.
is so dangerous. And the sad part is some of these pastors know it because
Mhm.
they have not worked out whatever pastors have mommy issues too.
Mhm.
Pastors have daddy issues too. Pastors have issues where they were bullied until they were 11 and 12 and didn't get it right until they entered into high school when they started getting buff and their smile started getting a little better. And so you have a lot of little boys and little girls that are trapped in adult bodies that are just craving for someone. My mommy didn't listen to me when I was a child, but you're going to listen to me and you have
Mhm.
to listen to me because everything I'm saying, it's coming straight from the mouth of God. And then what
Right.
happens is you guys know the danger in this. This is what happens. You say it's coming from the mouth or the heart of God when it's really coming from your own inner wickedness
Yeah. So
or
it's
your own
trauma
unhealed
from
trauma
the
or
pulpit.
your own
Yeah.
unhealed places. So then when you have people that really look up to you because they are looking at you as a mouthpiece of God,
Of
you know
God.
that you have some pastors. I had a pastor say it. You have some pastors that believe, oh, if God don't talk to me on your behalf, how are you going to hear from God? So you have
No.
people. Yes, ma'am. So you have people that are afraid to pray because, well, when I do pray, well, he's not going to hear me anyway because it has to go through my leader and it has to go through this. It is very toxic and it is very dangerous. And that is why it is so important. Let me tell you something. The ministry that my family and I are a part of now, it is so different because I didn't go into it looking for anyone to fulfill any broken pieces of my life. I didn't
Right.
go in. I told you all last week, I am estranged from my womb carrier. I did not go into this ministry looking for a mother. I have nothing to do with my sperm donor. I did not go into this ministry looking for a father. What I did instead was say, God, whatever you have for me as it relates to family, you have already given me. You have given me a woman after your own heart. You have given me two phenomenal children, and you have given me a village, a family that I have been blessed or that you have blessed me to create. So I'm not going to go into this spiritual setting looking for fulfillment of something natural. I have to heal. So my prayer went from, Lord, give me a mom and give me a dad, to Lord, help me to be a good mother.
Yeah.
Anything that I have lacked that my parents did not give me, you be a parent to me. I remember I was praying, I was so mad. I mean, I'm crying, I'm like, God, you knew this, and God, you could have done this, and God, just make them do right. And God, and he said, am I not enough for you? And that is helpful. And that
Yeah.
has continued to help me on my journey and on my road of into deconstruction because, the old school saints say he can be a mother to the motherless. And, it just sounds like a really good song lyric, but when
Mhm.
you live it,
Yes.
he really
Yes.
can be. He
Yeah.
can be a
Well,
father to the fatherless. I'll take
and
it.
just like really any healthy relationship, you have to go into it whole.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you don't go into the healthy relation, if you don't go into a relationship whole and you're looking for something else, especially something for that other individual to fulfill for you,
Hmm.
then there's going to be dysfunction in any of that because like you were saying, pastors bring trauma into the pulpit and so they navigate according to that trauma.
Oh, yes.
And anytime we have holes and voids to fill, we bring those into relationships. So whether that's a spiritual relationship and a relationship with the church, or that's a
Hmm.
relationship with an individual, that's where our own healing needs to take place first before we seek other relationships.
If you're
Hmm.
just joining us, I am in a conversation with Nye Andrews, uh, who is a preacher's child, preacher's kid. That was the person I was looking for in the Love Is segment this week, last Thursday. And when she joined us
Hmm.
last Thursday, what she disclosed so blew everybody away. We decided to have an additional conversation with her this Thursday. And I'm so grateful because now we're really getting into the meat of it. what what conversation have you had with preachers' children? Are you all facing similar things? Do you feel like you can't move, you can't breathe, you can't, or do you have the freedom, more freedoms than anyone else because you're preachers' children?
Both. So when you're growing up as a preacher's kid, there are a lot of liberties there. You get away with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a post that went viral on Facebook not too long ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it said, "Preachers' kids walk around like they came straight out of Jerusalem." And I laughed at it because that was me. I remember, if you know, older, uh, you know, teenagers in the church, you know, let's say I'm 10, 11, and you know, you're 15, 16, you say, "Hey, nah, don't do that." I'm like, "You can't talk to me. My daddy's the pastor. Don't tell me what to do. I'm a preacher's kid." You know, you carry that. It's this air
Mm-hmm.
that you carry with
Thank
you.
you
But
for airing out the truth, honey. We needed
oh,
to hear that.
it happens. Oh, yes, ma'am. It happens. It's this air, but a lot of that is because um, we go through so much behind the scenes. The most respect we get is it is in the church. It is on Sunday morning because nobody wants to get on your bad side because they don't want to get back to the pastor, because if it gets back to the pastor, you can't
Mm-hmm.
come to the cookout, you won't get elevated, you won't get your certificate or your credentials. So don't piss me off. Anybody that knows me and knows
Wow.
me well knows that's my go-to. That's my go-to for don't piss me off. And I've been like that since I was a child. And so as much as that is liberating, there's not very much liberation for the soul. And I spoke on this last week. Many times, preachers' kids are not looked upon as individuals. We are looked upon as extensions of our parents, extensions of the ministry. And so we have to carry ourselves in that way. The conversations that I am having with preachers' kids now, um, it's so different than when I was a child because now that we are older, a lot of us are on the road of
Mm-hmm.
deconstruction. A lot of us are learning that what we have been taught, rather by our parents, grandparents, the Bible, and Sunday
Mm-hmm.
school, it's just not what we believe any longer. And it takes me back to what you said when you opened up when I first got on today. Um, the difference between God and the church, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so being able to say, I experienced this hurt, pain, trauma from the church, but I did not experience it from God. And so relearning who God is to us, it has helped us in so many ways because I know a lot of preachers' kids who are also same gender loving. I know a lot of
Yeah.
preachers' kids who may be heterosexual, but they don't want to preach. They don't want to get in the pulpit.
Yes.
They want to write a book. They want to start a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They want to open a store and be able to help people. And, some are teachers and some want to get into politics. So learning that there is life outside of what your parents want for you. I didn't know that there was life outside of what my parents wanted for me until I was 27 years old. A lot of people just don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to sit with this for a minute. Just sit with it. Because what we saw from the outside, some of it was true, but there was a lot of it that we misunderstood. There's a pressure that comes with being a preacher's kid. I would go to church and I would see the preacher's children walk in and their chests were puffed out and, they were sitting in front just as cute as a button. And on some level, I understood with my emotional intelligence that they are probably under a lot of stress, can't do certain things. But on other levels, I could see exactly what you were discussing. I can't thank you enough for this conversation.
Thank you.
Rustin said, "Nah, you better go ahead and enlighten your people."
Hi, Miss Roslyn.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to unlearn a lot of what you have been conditioned to learn in the church. It's just a lot. It's just a lot, and so people walk around silently judging, and sometimes not so silently judging. And go ahead, Cherie.
I was laughing and thinking like, not silently.
Yeah, they're not
They're
silent at
loud.
all. Not silent at
Mhm.
all. But some people are, they have this thing, this popped up thing, and one of the most that we could ever get out of the Bible is judge not, love with all your heart, and forgive your brother 70 times 7. We don't talk about that often enough. It's, the Lord says, cheating is a sin, and, same gender loving care is a sin, and all this other stuff. And I can't tell you how many pastors have been caught in the pulpit going, I have to confess that I've been same gender loving with my wife. Why does it take, that? Because we've been in the pulpit tearing people apart. We don't realize that this is an issue across our congregations. And I've heard really good pastors say, listen here, we're losing people in the church because of the way we have treated folks. Girls got pregnant, had to come up and tell the people, I got pregnant, I sinned, and then they had to be sat down from their ministries. And this stuff
Mm-hmm.
has impacted lives. And they think that after they've gone that and shamed the people at the front of the church, that, that they're going to sit now and do whatever God tells them to do through the pastor. Through the
Through the
pastor.
pastor.
And so if you are someone, and you can tell a healthy congregation by the amount of people that show up, right? That means that you're feeding them something.
Yes.
But we've got to be very, very careful, especially now in this day and time, that we understand God for ourselves. Yes, go to church. Yes, go ahead and congregate with the folk and whatever else, and understand what God, and get a word from God from the pastor.
Mm-hmm.
But I love pastors who are normal. When I say normal, they don't act like, oh, well, I'm coming through the door. Make sure you have my cloth ready over my arm. Make sure I'm not just walking through the door anywhere they go. I've got to have 5 people flanking me. So one for the fan, one for to carry my Bible, one to carry that is ego.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch, somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Can we sit with that?
We were going to sit with it. We
Let's sit
shall
with
sit
that
with
for a
it.
moment. Yeah, let's sit with that.
Because the burden of being someone in the pulpit is a heavy one and not to be taken lightly. And unfortunately, we have way too many people who are getting in the pulpit and are just taking it so lightly that you can't touch not my anointing. I need you to buy me a car. I need you to buy me a plane. Their congregation is so in the worst poverty-stricken neighborhoods. But pastor has a gold chair and a barber inside the church. And I've seen all kinds of things. And I've always wanted to ask the questions. Jesus walked with humility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say, when you think about even in some of the conversations, the political conversations right now around the conservative um, right wing of, a certain party, and they're talking about Jesus would have been too woke for right now because he welcomed everyone,
Everybody.
everyone, the
Mm-hmm.
prostitutes, the gender loving, like the same gender loving, like he
Mm-hmm.
turned no one away. So how we all of a sudden become this entity that,
Where perfection is the standard.
correct, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But a lot, I'm learning that what you just said. I don't know if you guys saw, my eyes got really, really big because the ministry that we were just dismissed from is everything that
Yeah.
you just said. 10 people carrying this and all of that, and like you said, um, the weight of ministry, especially when you are in the pulpit, a pastor, bishop, apostle, whatever your title, it is heavy. It is such, it is so heavy because you essentially, it's almost like you become the cross. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You carry the burden of being a pastor, the burden of being flawed, the burden of your people, right? The issue is, a lot of there are some pastors who do not reflect the heart of Christ. You have a lot of pastors who are a reflection of their own pain and their own trauma. And that is very dangerous and it is very toxic because you teach people to believe in you more than you teach people to believe
Believe in
in
God.
God. But the issue is, you want people to believe in you because you don't believe in yourself.
Oh, koromo shandala shitarama. Words have not been spoken. What? Tell the people.
Yeah, it happens. And so that's why I personally believe that before you become a pastor, before you are chosen or asked or God told me to do this, I do believe psychological evaluation should take place. And I'm not being funny. I told you all
It's
last week,
true.
I am in school pursuing my master's degree to be a licensed marriage and family therapist. And a lot of what I am learning in school, in correlation to what I have seen in the church in the past 33 years, literally my entire life, is scary. You have pastors that are running around as faux therapists. oh, just come talk to me. God's going to tell me what to give to you. And people would much rather go speak to their pastor than to go speak to a licensed therapist. Y'all know that there are Christian therapists out there, right? And
Yes.
so if you ever have a pastor, oh, you don't need to be on no medicine. Run fast. Because just as God created healing, he created people to help you heal. He created people to help create medicine to help you heal. You understand what I'm saying? I'm
Mhm.
gonna make a shirt and it's gonna say Jesus and a pill, because some people need that
Jesus,
and it's okay. But there is so much shame.
so
Y'all
true.
don't understand. There is so much shame
Yeah.
around mental health, because now mental health in the Black church, now it's called the demon.
Yeah. And I'm
When did
actually
we get here? When,
I know, because there are pastors who are feeling like their powers are being usurped because people would just come to them while they're in the pulpit saying, I'm trying to help you. And you go back and do the same thing because you're not a licensed therapist. Now,
not
there
at
are
all.
pastors who are licensed therapists that can say that, but there are many
Hmm.
who aren't. And so it is just, and so right now, after COVID, Black folk are running to therapists, right? It is, listen, I ran. I was like, okay, Jesus, time for me to go. I've been praying.
Hmm.
You said, pray and then move. And so I moved and went to therapy after my mother died. And I was like, oh my God. And the stuff that came out of me, I was
Hmm.
like, are you telling me I've been holding on to all of this? Telling myself I was okay?
Yeah.
We need those spaces. And so once I started going to therapy, I kept saying to folks, listen, you don't feel well, say you're not okay. Say you are not okay. Say that so we can help each other. Because we've been shamed into thinking that therapy was demonic, shamed into thinking that, God, that's not a word from God. And so I'm grateful to see that Black folks are evolving into a place where therapy is a thing. It's crazy. Listen, tell
Yeah.
people how they can find you because it's now 7:32. We may have to bring you back another
Oh
time.
my God.
Tell people how they can
I'll have
find
to
you,
come
honey.
back. So you can find me on Facebook, Nye Andrews, NAIANDREWS. You can also find me on Instagram. I believe I keep changing my tag, guys. I think it's Chips Twin 0421. Yeah, Chips Twin 0421. You can purchase my book, Diary of a Preacher's Kid, on Amazon and Kindle. And you can also listen to my podcast. I'm on a break right now, but feel free to catch up until August. I'll be back in August, but you can listen to my podcast, also entitled Diary of a Preacher's Kid, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and there's one more, Spotify.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Spotify. Yeah,
So, such a pleasure. Thank you
always.
so much for gracing us with your presence. I'm
Thank you for
grateful that we're
having
now
me.
friends on social media because I can
Me
follow you. You
too.
are not playing out here.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, listen, somebody said you can absolutely, Erica said you can absolutely have Jesus in therapy. Tracy
Yeah.
says, yes, run. I have you need to make a t-shirt about that. Jesus and therapy.
Yes.
Yes, run,
Yes.
Tracy says. I have a cousin going through this right now. He's a preacher's kid and keeps hearing God will help. Pray to God. It's not just working and I'm scared for him. So, this is dangerous now. Erica says,
Yeah.
therapy gave me the language that made my prayer life richer. I could finally articulate what was in my heart. Nye
Hmm.
Andrews, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you
It
for
was such
having
a
me.
pleasure having you on the Love Is segment. Cherie, tell
Thank
people
you.
where they can find Booker's Restaurant as if we don't know. Let me guess, 5021 Baltimore Avenue.
Yeah. So we are open for Juneteenth, and we have Juneteenth specials all day today. So come
Oh, do
on in.
you?
Yes, we
Do
do.
I have to make a reservation to have a Juneteenth lunch or can I just pop in?
No, you can pop in.
Okay, all right. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
trying to make like little Juneteenth things go on.
We love we love to have you. That's
Yes.
part of resistance, how we're spending our money.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
My darlings, thank you so, so much. This episode of Mornings with Marvel on this Juneteenth, we have been emancipated, proclamated since 1865, and we still fresh
Yes.
out here in these Wakandan streets. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.